From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MBW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
That broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neal McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Wednesday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal McCready, Clark Ford Studio this morning. Whatever we said yesterday in the opening, say it again today. Just repeat, listen to it again, because the Pete Golding watch, the defensive coordinator watch, it goes into another day. There's still no, there's still no yes, and we all wait. So that is where we sit as of 8:47 a.m. on this morning. We're a little bit late because the recorder just died. I don't know. Hit the power button this morning, and our faithful device has been with us for a while now. It would not turn on. It died of natural causes. I had to go.
It had a hell of a life.
It did. I had to. It was the George H.W. of recorders.
It really was.
I had to go home and get the other one. So drove back. There was a wreck on Highway 7. Did not involve me. So we've had the eventful morning. And
it wasn't a flashy recorder. You know what I mean? But it was steady.
There weren't bells and whistles.
It was steady.
It was steady.
Just
always there. And looking back, it had a blip that probably told us about a week ago that said, "Hey, something's up. We've got to." Neal recorded an entire soft verbal that did not work.
4 minutes
of static is what we had. It was static. I sent it to Jeffrey. We tried to operate. It was not recoverable. It flatlined, and now the recorder has followed soon after.
Looking back, that was that recorder's way of telling us that he was just about ready to go.
You think so? You think maybe looking back, we should have ordered one right then and said, "Hey, something's up. This hasn't happened before."
Probably should have told the recorder, "Hey, this isn't personal. Life goes on. We appreciate all you've done for us. We're going to retire you now." And maybe had we given it a little more rest, it would still be with us today.
That's true.
You and I killed a recorder.
Yeah, we didn't alternate them. We didn't do like you're supposed to do with running shoes, where you wear two pair throughout your training. We used one, and it has died.
The results were predictable.
At least we had another one. Could have been 2 difficult days there, because there's not a place in Oxford to just go get one.
Al Gore has not aged well.
He really hasn't, has he?
He has not aged well at all.
Yeah, we're watching the state funeral of George H.W. Bush, so we'll get probably some of that commentary while we're talking throughout.
Yeah, you will.
This podcast is brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford. I don't have the lunch special schedule. Somebody asked me, say, "Hey, you used to talk about that. Why do you not anymore?" We moved on to some other things. I'll fix that. I'll remedy that. I'll let you know what's $4.99 every single day at the Oxford Exxon. So today, I don't know, but either way, you're going to get something for $4.99.
Do they still have my special?
Is your face still on the board, or is that gone now?
It's probably gone.
You would hope.
Yeah, you would definitely hope. How they survived as long as they have with my face up. That's not exactly like inviting people to have an appetite.
If I'd have told you 10 years ago, hey, your face is going to be the main promotion inside an eating establishment, you would have had a hard time believing that.
I would have said, you are one insane human being, or I got some serious plastic surgery.
That's a good point. Some hair plugs, the whole
hair
deal.
Plugs.
You need more than plugs, though.
Yeah, I mean, I would need more than plugs. Even if I had a full head of hair, I would need more surgery to make my face appetizing.
Okay. What is appetizing is the ribs, the $4.99 lunch special, the daiquiris for minimum $3.99, but you get up to 44 ounces if you so wish of those. A lot of flavors. And again, we are bantering and coming to you from the Clark Ford studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900. 662-257-1900. Call that number. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what new Ford you are looking for, and then he'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. The results will be you'll get them, and the rest is up to you. You can shop that quote around, try to find a better deal somewhere. You won't, but you can. Give it a shot. Or you can go ahead and let Corey and the people at Clark Ford do for you what they've done for me and so many others. Let's take the hassle out of the everyday car buying experience. 662-257-1900. Service is fantastic. Corey wants to be your car guy. He wants to be your truck guy. He'll take care of you. At the end of your deal, tell Corey that you heard about Clark Ford on the podcast. Mention any of our family of podcast, and you'll save $500 off the already great bottom line at Clark Ford in Amory.
So, as I was saying, look, again, I don't know. We can't make this thing finish one way or the other. We reported yesterday that Mike McIntyre will meet with Ole Miss as early as tomorrow. We'll see. Pete Golding has some semblance of a clock, but that clock has a lot of sway to it. They've given him time to make a decision. I know Football Scoop yesterday said that he had turned down all overtures. That was very premature. He has not given a final answer to Ole Miss as of that point, or as I'm aware of, even to this point as well as we talk on this Wednesday morning. So we'll see. I don't know. There's really not a lot else to go into. I mean, that's kind of where we are right now. Go ahead, Mr. McCready.
Well, I'm trying to think. It's one of those deals where, and I don't say this to be, this upsets some people, but welcome to the world. We know some things that we can't repeat. If they don't get Pete Golding at this point, I don't think it will be because of a lack of effort. I don't think it will be based on money. I think it will be based on him just not thinking that this is the right move for his career right now. And then I'm going to go on a little quasi rant here. It's very small. It's not even a rant. There's a conversation that occurs in these situations that gets juvenile, and for whatever reason, the juvenile nature of it bothers me. When people say, look, I don't think it's a secret at this point. His wife, Carolyn, she and her husband, Pete, have 3 boys. Is the youngest one a boy?
I don't know.
They have 2 boys and then another small child that's a year old that is either a boy or a girl, one or the other. I feel safe in saying it's one or the other. If you've ever been in that spot in your life, 3 young children at home, it's a joyous time, but it's also a stressful time. Just because these people are in football doesn't mean they're any different than you or me or anyone else. You got diapers and kids going everywhere and kids get sick and stuff. And when you work for Nick Saban, you're never home. When you work for Nick Saban, they do a lot of things well at Alabama. Being super family friendly on the staff, I don't think is part of it. I don't think
it's not the staff that goes, hey, bring the kids out to practice and let them run around.
Right.
Those staffs exist. This is not one of them.
Houston Nut staff was that way.
It was.
Kids were everywhere.
Les Miles was very friendly to staffs.
And I'm not saying there's a right way or a wrong way, but he doesn't see his kids a lot. She probably doesn't see her husband as much as she'd like to. He probably doesn't see the kids as much as she would like for him to. I don't want to get into their business, but when people say it's undefeated, and you know what I'm talking about, that is, and I get it's just you're trying to be funny and it's juvenile, but that's stupid. This isn't about that.
You always talk about how people aren't robots, coaches aren't robots. This is your prime example. This is just like any other move where a husband has a very important career that takes a lot of hours, and you're figuring out where in the country is best for your family situation to be. Because, look, I mean, I feel very safe in saying this, where everything about Ole Miss, the University of Iowa, Pete would not be looking into this job right now. Location plays a very large role in this decision because of family and ties and support systems and everything alike. So it's just like anybody. I mean, somebody offers any of us a lot of money tomorrow to go do something else in another part of the country. You weigh everything with that decision. Location matters more to some people than some other people. Neal and I probably on very opposite ends of that spectrum in a lot of ways. So most people in the middle, and you make the decision for your family, and that's what Pete Golding is doing right now. Matt Luke is giving him time to do that with the understanding that there's some, other elements here, and they are going to have to make a decision pretty soon. But from a coaching search situation amount of time, this has been, frankly, an eternity relative to how long these things typically take to make decisions.
Yeah, and, he got this offer on Saturday night, Sunday night, somewhere in there. The fact that it's only been 72 hours, sometimes huge, and this is a huge decision. Sometimes those decisions aren't made instantaneously. Those take a little time. It shouldn't be shocking that this decision takes a little time. It shouldn't bother anyone that this decision takes a little time. Now there comes a point where there's a practicality to it, and in this case, there's a weekend of official visits coming up. Today is December the 5th. 2 weeks away exactly from National Signing Day, the early signing day. You got to get moving. It's got to happen. But I understand how a decision like this can be complicated. And he's got to he's either got to tell Matt Luke no, or he's got to walk into Nick Saban's office and say no. Think about that for a minute. He's a 34-year-old guy. He's a hell of a football coach. He's got a really bright future. But today, he's a 34-year-old guy who was given a remarkably great professional opportunity by Nick Saban. Nick Saban sped his career up. Make no mistake about it. And he's got to walk into that office if he decides to leave, and he's got to tell a guy who's about to win his 7th national championship, a guy who's about to be unquestionably in history the greatest college football coach ever. He's got to, based on results, and he's got to look that guy in the eye and say, I'm leaving to go to a program that right now today is, 12th in the SEC? 13th? It's unstable. It's coming off of probation. A program that Alabama defeated basically as soundly as it wanted to back in September. That's a difficult conversation to have. And I'm sure that you have to weigh all of those things. And then he also has to have conversations at home with his wife. And so my point is, when people take that relationship, husband, wife, parents, all of those things, and boil it down to it's undefeated, to me that's just so ridiculous that that's if it's meant to be comical, that's one thing. If it's meant to be I'm trying to be family friendly here. That's ridiculous. You make decisions sometimes that are based on what's best for my family. Weighing against that is this long term. Because look, if he comes to Ole Miss and it doesn't work, what is the best decision for his family today might not be. He might look back in 3 or 4 years and go, that was not the best decision for my family. So it's a complicated decision, and I can see how there has been as much ping-ponging as there sort of has been. Because there have been times in this when people that we've talked to really believed it was about to happen. And there have been times in this where people believed it was basically over. Personally, I think it ends either today or sometime midday tomorrow, one way or the other. I doubt if Ole Miss wants to bring Mike McIntyre or anyone else to Oxford, and while they're on campus, Pete Golding gives them an affirmative answer.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
That would be awkward. So my opinion is, once Mike McIntyre gets to campus, he becomes the front runner if he wants the job. Because I don't think you're bringing Mike McIntyre to campus to quiz him. You're bringing Mike McIntyre to campus to recruit him. And so if you bring him to campus and he says, I want the job, and, unlike Golding or some other candidates, McIntyre, and I'm saying this is fairly sourced, his contract at Colorado, the buyout, has offset language in it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's exactly motivated, from what I've been told, to make this easy on Colorado. Now, he can't do something stupid like, hey, Ole Miss, pay me minimum wage. Colorado will pick up the rest. But I don't think he's going to hold Ole Miss hostage for a couple $1 million.
Because he's making 10.3 no matter what.
Yeah, and I think he would love for as much of that to come out of the coffers of Boulder, Colorado as possible. He feels like he got screwed, according to people that I know. who know him. Maybe screwed is too strong, but you know what I'm saying.
Unfairly, whatever.
And maybe it wasn't handled precisely the right way. Most firings aren't, but so anyway, that's kind of where it stands. I don't know what's going to happen. We joked yesterday that this could be outdated by the time that we do it. Today could be really outdated by the time that we do it.
Yeah. Don't know.
Russell and I are scheduled to tape a soft verbal today, and I almost pushed it back to tomorrow because it could be severely outdated by the time it pops. Because you'll get it on Thursday, and by the time Thursday comes around, we could be having conversations about something that has literally been resolved 6 hours earlier. So I'll try to steer the questions to other things, but you can't talk about Nakobe Dean to completion right now.
Without knowing what Pete Golding's doing.
Yeah, because if Pete Golding's coming to Ole Miss, my projection on Nakobe Dean would change. And if Pete Golding's not coming to Ole Miss, my projection on Nakobe Dean would probably stay where it is. And there's other recruits. Maybe things would change. Who knows? I don't know what he'll do. If you made me bet, I would still bet against it. But based on things I've been told, I wouldn't be stunned. Surprised, not stunned, certainly not shocked.
No, I don't know what in this would be shocking at this point in any way.
Don't you know this is a Secret Service nightmare?
This funeral?
There are so many former presidents, former vice presidents, the whole damn Senate basically, at the state funeral of George H.W. Bush. There's former dignitaries from other countries. Brian Mulroney is going to be one of the people who does a eulogy, the former Prime Minister of Canada. I mean, there's a lot going on. The sitting President of the United States is going to be in the room. He was invited by the Bush family. Shockingly, he accepted. I shouldn't say shockingly. I'm a little surprised.
Are you?
Kinda. So you've got all the. Can you imagine that for Secret Service? This day is a long day.
Yeah. That's what I was just thinking a minute ago was the guest list. You mentioned Al Gore, and you're right. But when we have a picture of Al Gore, we still see Al Gore from 2000. You know what I mean? Like, it's been 20 years. It's been 2 decades.
Yeah, it's like time froze.
Yeah, when we go, oh, what's Al Gore look like? Well, you see the picture of him kissing Tipper or whatever, and that's kind of what's in your head a little bit.
I always passed by, and I think this is where it happened, that Lowe's Vanderbilt. I think that's where he was on that election night.
Yeah.
And I always think, man, to have been inside that building that day, to be in the walls of whatever room he was in that night. Here's a guy that was as close as you can be to being president of the United States.
All he had to do was win his own state.
Yeah.
Literally.
It's the part that people get
had to win his own state.
People get hung up on Chads and Florida, and if he wins Tennessee, it's a non-topic. Couldn't win his own state. But he was as close as you can be to being the leader of the free world without being the leader of the free world.
Oh.
As close as you can be to being in power to then having really no power.
From president to whatever side you're on it, internet and climate jokes. I mean, seriously.
Yes.
Fascinating. Again, you're going to get political commentary through the next hour or so with us. So, without further
you're
ado,
as fascinated with political stuff
No,
as
I am. Yeah, I'm all in. We're just sitting here. There's nothing else to talk about.
To me, George H.W. Bush is the video that got me yesterday, me and millions of others, was Bob Dole.
Yeah.
Being helped out of the wheelchair and as difficult as it was, saluting, physically difficult, saluting a former political rival, a former political ally. I'm sure a person that became a friend.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's Tom Brokaw talked about the greatest generation, and they are. They truly are.
Yeah.
That generation, and both of those men, Dole and Bush, fought in the war and
were almost killed.
And Dole was maimed.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know. It was a powerful video to watch for a minute, and just to, I don't know. I guess people said it was a time gone by. I disagree with that. I don't believe that the character of our nation has been so impacted that there's no longer any dignity. I disagree when people say that.
Yeah. Probably a couple more topics on that in a second. First, today the podcast brought to you in part by Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. Underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. You're getting local underwriting and understands your market, a leader in condo financing and the float down option. You can find Jason at 662-234-2704 or JLowe, JLOWE at communitymtg.com.
The podcast also brought to you by Patterson and Earhart, attorneys at law. When we have guests on the program, and I swear we will, it's just this is one of those weeks where we're almost hesitant to book much. They'll join us on the Patterson and Earhart hotline. Patterson and Earhart specialize in personal injury law and real estate law, but theirs is a general practice that can handle any of your legal needs. When you contact Patterson and Earhart, you speak to one of the partners in the firm, and that's who will handle your case, not some paralegal at a faceless corporate firm. If Patterson and Earhart can't help you, they'll refer you to someone who can. John Calvin Patterson and Wes Earhart are Ole Miss guys. They're local guys. And when you call them, you're going to get one of them on the phone within the same day, guaranteed. So whether you've been injured in a car wreck or have other legal issues, give them a call, 662-526-1992, or check out their website, pelaws.com. Your initial consultation is free. Podcast also brought to you by Dead Soxy. Socks make great stocking stuffers, and Dead Soxy is your stocking stuffer solution. 'Tis the season of giving, and Dead Soxy wants to give back to the Rebel Grove community for all its support. For a limited time, they've increased the promo code from 25% off to 35% off, and the deal is live right now on the site. It's a limited time offer, only available to Rebel Grove subscribers and podcast listeners. This ad will not last, so take advantage of this holiday offering before it goes. The code may not apply to items already on sale, but is available for all remaining products, including the limited edition Rebel socks. So whether you're giving your family, your friends, or yourself a gift, give something they'll look forward to wearing over and over again. Everyone needs to experience the difference a quality sock makes. So go to deadsoxy.com, enter the code Rebel Grove at checkout to receive 35% off and free shipping on orders over $25. Podcast also brought to you by Pinnacle Trust. Pinnacle Trust, based in Madison, Mississippi, represents clients in 24 states, has advisors in 3 states. They provide detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and much more. Here's what they do. They sit down with you, the individual, you, your husband, your wife, your family, whatever the case may be, and they find out what your dreams are, what your goals are, what do you want to do, when do you want to retire, what do you want to do when you retire, how does that work, what do you want, and then they find out all of your assets, your expenses, your everything, and they put together a box, if you will, that's just for you, that is a specific detailed retirement plan, down to the day, down to the penny. I've never seen anybody else do it. They do it. They basically give you peace. They give you security. And then they stay with you. They revisit that plan once a year, every year, in person. See what needs to be adjusted. Most people don't do that for you. Pinnacle Trust does. PinTrust.com, PINN Trust.com. Mention you heard about Pinnacle Trust on the podcast. You'll get 10% off your first year's fee.
You know, you had sent me a couple articles. I read one of them this morning early, the New York Times story from Maureen Dowd.
Yeah.
You know, someone dies, especially anyone, but especially a dignitary of this stature. You always want to remember fondly and whatever, but they've done a really good job with him, and he gave so many ways to do this accurately of just telling the truth. You know what I mean? You got to really kind of know the person. They didn't sugarcoat some of the political difficulties that have happened as well. I mean, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows in the White House, but overall, and frankly, it's a credit to him and the family and everyone, is tried to do his best. Good guy, did what he thought was right, and okay. It's what he was charged with, was making that decision, and he made it.
He did. And when he lost, I'll never forget the night that he lost.
It's the first presidential election I remember. I was 8 years old, 9 years old, something like that.
Yeah, it was the first. It was the second one I could vote in. when he lost, there was so much celebration about, the Clintons and the Don't Stop Thinking About Tomorrow and that song and everything. And he came down in Houston that night and gave this gracious speech.
I don't know that I've ever watched his concession speech from 92.
It was very gracious on a night that had to be the most difficult political night of his life. And we've all seen the letter that he left for Clinton.
Yeah.
And I think that's who he was. And, and then 8 years later, he's the father of a president. And
just 8 years later.
Just 8 years, yeah. And that just is powerful, I mean, here's a guy that for 8 years was the vice president of the United States, was a milli-inch probably from becoming the president in 1981. 8 years as Ronald Reagan's vice president, and then 4 years as president, 8 years as the father of a sitting president. I mean, and really, you look at the friendships that he's built on both sides of the aisle and all of that, and I think the friendship that he and Bill Clinton have built was one of the coolest things. I think sometimes people would see those pictures of those two men together, two men that ran against each other for president of the United States, and to see the friendship that you could tell is very genuine. I don't know. I think for a lot of people, I've heard other people say this, and I know it did for me. It always kind of provided me with some hope. Those pictures always made me happy to see those two together.
Was it Barbara that always said that George had become the father Bill never had? I think it was Barbara that always had that quote, or that they had. Yeah, it was a paternal relationship in a lot of ways for Bill and HW.
HW had a sock thing. Speaking of dead socks, HW was ahead of dead socks. He loved socks. Yeah, and Clinton would always bring him socks, including the socks with Clinton's face on them, and Bush would wear them. Think about that. I mean, there's a guy that defeated you for president of the United States. A man that you had to pack up and leave the White House 4 years earlier than you anticipated, 4 years earlier than you planned, because he beat you, and you're wearing his face on your socks.
But it's what we always talk about. We always go back to that book, The President's Club, that we both read. There's 3, 4, whatever the number is, people lit 5, whatever it is, living that understand that room. That when you get past the emotion of that, when you get down the road and go, hey, you had this decision and I get that. I understand, hey, where were you? And you can have some in-depth conversations that are so whatever, because when Trump was in South Haven, did the Air Force One thing, they had a section, I don't think I'm giving away state secrets here or anything, they had a section of the plane that it's this little area, and seats are kind of turned toward each other, and it's like 4 or 5 seats turned toward each other. And the guy, the pilot or whatever, said, "Look, that's the spot when they were going to, I forget what dignitary it was. Someone died in Egypt, or a president or something, and they said we had all the living presidents on the plane to go, and this is where they sat." And he showed and it was just all facing one another, and talked about for hours they just had cocktails and were telling stories and whatever. And he thought, wow, that was one of those. That was one of those moments where you almost kind of got chills, just as a political person or just a person in general in America, because you went, the things that they could relate to and tell and have seen, and there's it's not a political event. It's just we're killing time with a bourbon, and we're talking about our stories and stuff. And
you've stood at that spot, and I have too, where you can look out at the Rose Garden, and you think about presidents from Kennedy to Bush to Clinton to the other Bush to probably Obama to whoever, that they've walked around in that little area by themselves. George H.W. Bush, I've read where he talked about the decision to go into Kuwait and those kind of things, where you realize you're sending Americans off to die. And that's a powerful thing, and only a handful of people really know what that's like, to be the person that makes that call.
Making a decision where I am sacrificing people for this decision, period. That's what's happening. So,
yes.
I don't know. It's just, it's all kind of coming back watching this. But, lots of stories, lots of really, really good journalism, op-ed pieces to come out in the last few days. I mean, the one from I think it was New York Times or Washington Post from Baker about Bush's last day and everything. Just powerful, really good stuff. If you haven't seen those, I would recommend reading if you have any interest whatsoever.
The Maureen Dowd one, she covered him in the White House, and then she covered his son in the White House, and she's tough. She pulls no punches, and the relationship that they built over 30 years is just, I don't know. I thought it was maybe as powerful a thing that you can disagree and still be human.
It shows a lot that they gave her that long of a story, frankly. I kept reading and going, oh, that's probably the end. That's probably the end. That's probably the end. And it kept going. It was quite lengthy. So you're going to need a little attention span. It's more than 280 characters. Going to have to hang in for a minute. But she gave some really some really good anecdotes and different things to
kind of let you get to know the man.
Yeah, she said he didn't see it. My favorite one was she was laughing. She said that Georgia's oldest son saw it. She came to the golf course wearing a Jesse Jackson 88 and a Bob Dole 88 shirt and hat. Said just to mess with him, and said he didn't see it, but said the eldest son looked at her like he was shooting fire out of his eyes at her, and she was like, "It's a joke. It's completely like whatever." But
and had he seen it, he would have found it funny.
Yeah. It was all a joking thing. I mean, he had an admiration for her despite the critical nature of what she typically wrote about his White House.
Liked the way that she did her job.
Yeah. There was a strange respect there. And that
was the paper that he read, because that was the paper that his father read.
Right.
His father read the New York Times religiously. His father, the former senator
Prescott Bush,
read the New York Times religiously, and so he did too.
So he's reading her every morning,
so
and
she was what he read.
He'd get pissed off.
Sure,
and he sent her correspondence throughout his life. Frankly, after the presidency, during the presidency,
lots of it.
Yeah. Get letters from.
The one I would love is when he signed it, Love, whatever name he used with her, and then he scratched out Love, and he goes, "Well, I'm not quite there yet." Just funny. He was a letter writer. That's what I wish. I mean, I get this question sometimes. What are you have life regrets? And one of mine is that I've never kept a journal. That I didn't write down all of the things that I've thought and done and stuff that, not for my sake, but for my kids one day to have.
It wasn't thoughts, but my grandfather kept a journal of everything he did every day. It was his entire schedule, everywhere he went, everything, including all the nicknames and shorthands. After he died in August or September of 2006, and you could go through his belongings afterwards, and you'd find 1992, 1994, like all the way through, and it would be 9:30, picked up Chase, went to the gas station, like everything, literally his entire day for decades and years and everything else, and you could read through it and follow it. And I don't know. I mean, I would assume my aunt has those. I don't know where they are now, but he did do that. I've never been a journal person really at all.
I don't have the discipline to do it.
I hate my handwriting, as dumb as that is. I write really poorly, and it drives me insane.
Yeah, I've seen your writing. I can't.
I will send Neil notes from 4 feet away, and he doesn't do it. He goes, "I can't read your handwriting." And I'm going, yes.
It's illegible. No offense.
I should have been a doctor is what I was always told because of my handwriting.
Yeah.
I was in the wrong profession.
Say this, and I'm like, I have no idea what that says to say.
I have to type it out. I should carry a printer with me to type it out and print it. But anyway.
Speaking of covering and relationships and stuff, back to this is an Ole Miss topic. A.J. Brown declared yesterday that he's going pro.
He did.
No surprise. I love the people that were like, breaking. Come on. Come really? It's only news if A.J. says I'm coming back.
That would have been breaking.
That would have been breaking, shocking news. A.J. Brown declaring that he's going to the NFL. First round pick. Now that he's done, I can say this. What a cool kid. What a great kid. I'm not talking about the Ole Miss part of it. I'm talking about what we deal with. Fantastic kid. When we asked for him, we got him. When we interviewed him, he was present. Mentally. Emotionally. Yeah. He was there.
He locked in.
Gave us answers. He will be...
showed emotion.
Yeah. Assuming he gets in the right fit in the NFL, he will be a superstar. great looking kid. Has a I don't know how you say, an infectious smile. Very smart, funny. Has a sense of, I think, timing that you don't teach people, football players or otherwise. You just have it or you don't. Has a chance to be in my opinion, a real superstar at the next level beyond the field. The field part is the part that I get a little worried about. You got to get in the right spot. But man, if it works out in an NFL market, he's going to be a transcendent. He has the personality to be a transcendent star in that league.
Well, I mean, it's like we had the conversation about modern Mount Rushmore. A.J. Brown's on it without a thought to me. When you take in his play, his off the field, everything that he's dealt with, the whole package with A.J. and some people kind of fall back on that, but I believe it to 100%.
No
I don't think it's even a doubt. He might even be the first one that pops off in my head, frankly.
What's the time frame?
I don't know. Pick your time frame. Doesn't matter.
I mean, the only person
1970 and in.
It's Eli Manning, A.J. Brown.
And then you can go a lot of different ways from there.
But those two
Patrick Willis, Deuce, Dexter, a lot of guys.
Patrick was a great player.
Yeah.
But they didn't win.
Well, I mean, A.J. didn't play on a bowl team.
But A.J. was different. Where he's from.
That's kind of my point.
Yeah.
It took the extra whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
I think I would put Patrick on it, but I understand the point.
Yeah. I mean, Patrick's.
Frankly, Chad Kelly.
Well, yeah. I mean, Dexter had a big career and people loved him, but I don't know that he was transcendent.
It gets into what all categories we're talking about because I mean, to this day, because of that era, and it's got to be rebuilt. That era is over. You got to have a new era now. Still contend the most important recruit of the Hugh Freeze era was Bo Wallace. Period. None of that happens without Bo.
Oh, there's no doubt. You know who the second most important one was?
Who?
Pierce Burton. They had 4 offensive linemen. Pierce Burton gave them 5, and those 5 kids somehow all stayed intact.
They didn't get hurt.
I can remember people inside the program going, if we lose a lineman, we're screwed.
There's like you talked about the rankings, there's the big fall off from here. We have, hey, here's our 5. These guys are going to play.
I mean, I remember that. I mean, they
that second list of what guys don't always get the notoriety, but who are the ones that held this thing together to do what they were able to do? And it's Fawn Cooper, it's Pierce Burton, it's those guys that had to do a lot of things to make this thing work. I mean,
C.J. Johnson.
Fawn Cooper played left tackle against Alabama while Tunzel was out.
Oh yeah, played well.
I think Sean Rawlings played right tackle, if I remember that correctly.
Probably did.
I think he did. I think I'm right on that.
Tell you what, Sean Rawlings, his scholarship was completely paid for. You know what I mean? You talk about somebody who gave you value.
Yeah, he was kind of a late ad that worked out. That one worked out.
You walked out of that restaurant when you're done. I got my money's worth. That was good. Never really gets the complete credit. Like I almost slipped just then.
Speaking of, I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. Larry B. Tunzel still is not allowed a sack in the NFL.
Shocking.
I saw that they're making his Pro Bowl push on social media.
Huh? Big guy, great feet. What a surprise!
Blown away. And I watched the Giants. They probably could have used him.
I do remember his freshman year, September of his freshman year. We were down on the field pregame, and I looked at a couple Ole Miss people, obviously not knowing what was coming, and I said, "That dude right there, 78." Y'all ought to be really good to him because one day he's going to have a lot of money that you're going to want.
Yeah, I'll finish that actually story in a second. Before we do that, I will tell you the podcast brought to you in part by Visit Oxford. Visit oxfordms.com/events to see everything going on. Tons of ways to get your little one pictures with Santa this holiday season. Everything from today at the Federal Credit Union from 4 to 5. You got tomorrow at Sugar Magnolia from 5 to 7. You've got Thacker Mountain's end-of-year celebration on Thursday at Southside Gallery as well. The run for the kids is Saturday morning, 8 to 10. Outside, it starts at the University Museum. Breakfast with Santa at the Graduate on Saturday as well. So a lot of different options coming your way. You'll be at Holly's Saturday from 10 to 12, all over the place, all over the square for Santa. So see the full calendar of events. Visit oxfordms.com/events.
Would I be allowed to go see Santa? I got some stuff to ask for.
Do you pass him a note? I mean, you're not going to sit on his lap, so what are you going to do?
Might just pass him a note.
Pass him a note?
Hey, remember me from back in the day?
When you get done with this, can you read this for me? Have an elf?
Wondering if...
You don't use Jimmy anymore? He's not a conduit anymore for Santa Claus?
It's funny you asked that. Let's pay some bills, then we'll talk about Jimmy.
Okay.
Jimmy came up the other day in the house.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
My my mailbag is up at rebelgrove.com. You can still subscribe to rebelgrove.com and $99 of team gear if you enter code 99cyber at checkout. That mailbag is brought to you by the Westin Jackson. Restore serenity to your soul by visiting Soul Spots, the ultimate luxury spa experience in downtown Jackson. Indulge in personalized massages, signature facials, soothing body treatments, and much more on their extensive spa list. Escape from the everyday and rejuvenate yourself in their luxury spa today. And then check out Estelle Wine Bar and Bistro. Sip on a creative craft cocktail or enjoy their curated wine list. Open for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Chef Caden's mission is to connect guests with the community through local partnerships. So gather at Estelle tonight. Podcast also brought to you by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. If you've been thinking about that golf trip, anniversary trip to Florida, cruise, whatever it may be, get in touch with John. He's part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners that allows John to supply his clients with added values and unique benefits. They just are not available on the internet. Google is not going to do this for you. John will. So whether you're going to Pebble Beach with the boys or taking her to Napa for the vacation of her dreams, call John. All you do is give him some parameters, give him a budget, let him know what it is you want to do, how much you're willing to spend, and then let him give you options that you would never find on your own. And you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. 901-494-3387 or jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast. Also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, Grenada Nissan's the place to go. Just off Interstate 55 in Grenada. Y'all have heard the spiel. It's everything you could want. If you want a Nissan vehicle, owe it to yourself to get in touch with them. If they don't have it, they'll find it. Great lease deals. They're fantastic people. They've been great to us. So if you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, do us a favor. At least give them an opportunity to win your business. GrenadaNissanUSA.com.
Podcast is brought to you by G&M Pharmacy on South Lamar in Oxford. They've remodeled. They're going to introduce curbside service. They deliver local in the Oxford area, and they've got the flu shot. So everything you're wanting all in one place there with G&M on South Lamar, local in the Oxford area delivery. Take advantage of that today. Yeah, if you haven't watched it, you should go back and watch Laramie Tunzel's high school film. It's really fun when he's in Florida playing the kids over there in high school. A lot of guys I probably couldn't evaluate. I'd have been able to show up at his game and understand really quickly that we probably should offer that guy and see if he wants to come play for us. Just a hunch. That's the poor sophomore defensive end from Plan or whoever it was. Just I think you almost try to work out a deal with him before the game. Like, look, can we not get pancaked every play? Can we do something here to work this out?
Yeah, is there anything that you need? Is there anything that I can offer you so that in return you don't kill me?
Yeah, I'll just stand up and kind of hold you, and you hold me, and we'll wait on the whistle. What do you think?
I'll promise to not even attempt to make a tackle, and I'll never accidentally go low.
Ooh.
If you'll just not humiliate.
There probably was that kid one time that thought, hey, I probably should cut him.
Oh.
And then you do that one time, and then you're just it's going to be a really long night the rest of the evening.
Payback's a bitch on that.
Because, I would assume, he did it. I mean, we saw him. Getting your motor ready for college is probably half of it because you just weren't challenged a whole lot in high school. You didn't have your equal out there very often to really have to be motivated week in and week out. But nonetheless, yeah, fall practice, out of all the dudes, and that was an impressive class, especially on the top half with a lot of guys even beyond the big three that we always talk about, Laramie was always the one that you watched immediately and went, yeah, okay. That's the one. Even beyond Robert or the rest of them. I mean, Robert always looked the part, don't get me wrong, but Laramie was just different. I mean,
You did not have to be a football expert or an offensive line expert to see Laramie Tunsil. Hips, body, way he's put together, the way he moves his feet, strength. And he's a kid that also has kind of this unique personality.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame that his whole career got marred with that crap because he could have been an absolute superstar from a media standpoint. Like we could have had a press conference every Monday with the left tackle. Would have been a lot more fun than the coordinator press conferences.
Oh, yeah, just bring the left tackle. I'll talk to him.
Because by the end of this year, they'd bring the coordinators in, and you kind of want to be the smart ass that goes, hey, can you just give the answers that you've given the other 10 weeks? Just go ahead and give them real quick, just to whatever random question we might potentially ask, and let's just call it a day. Like get in and out.
Efficiency. All right, so what's up with Jimmy?
Oh, yeah.
For those that don't know.
I have a personal elf at the North Pole.
You do? It's been going on for a while.
Every year.
About a decade now.
Every year, sometime before Christmas, Jimmy makes a trip on his personal sleigh.
So he has a sleigh?
He does.
You sure?
It's my understanding.
You don't know that, though? Didn't, park it out back?
I've never seen him. And he leaves a gift for the kids at the door. And then he rings the doorbell.
Before Christmas?
Before Christmas. And he's gone.
What times does he usually show up?
Usually at night.
Okay. Cover up darkness.
Usually when the kids were little, he would show up when they were just getting out of a bath. It's amazing how he knew.
Timing. Magic.
He's an elf. Yeah. Knows everything. One year we saw the red light from his, what I assumed to be his sleigh.
Really?
Blinking off in the distance.
Really?
That was pretty powerful. Yeah.
Ooh.
So this year the kids have been asking, when's Jimmy coming? And I'm like, here's the problem. And I've talked to Jimmy about this.
How do you correspond with Jimmy?
Oh, I have his phone number.
Oh, okay. Does that make your cell phone roam, or are you good?
Yeah, I can't give away all the secrets.
Calling cards.
What I said was, Jimmy, your lack of belief has impacted his desire to please you at Christmas time. That's it. One of those deals. Decisions have consequences. You decided that maybe your belief isn't as strong as it once was. And the consequence of that is that Jimmy maybe has moved on to another family.
So they've lost Jimmy.
Well, I think Jimmy's just maybe kind of on a bit of a strike. Like I told him, maybe one day you'll have your own kids and you'll have to convince Jimmy that you believe again.
Jimmy doesn't age.
Well, he does, but he's an elf.
They live to like 7,000.
He's like 700-something years old.
Okay.
He's all good. He's still fairly young.
That's still fairly young?
Yeah, Jimmy frequently writes letters to the kids at Christmas time explaining some of the things that he's been doing in his North Pole life.
Does he have handwriting close to mine?
No, it's much better than yours.
His level of practice.
Well, he types. Jimmy types.
Oh.
He types, and then he has a signature. That it's amazing. I'm able to emulate that signature.
Is it a stamp? Because he's writing so many letters, or is it actually handwritten?
It's a handwritten signature.
Is it really?
It is.
Black ink, blue ink, red ink?
Typically black
green
ink.
For the elf?
Sometimes black, sometimes blue. That's been red before.
That's a plethora of pens at his disposal.
I'm sure it just depends what pen is at Jimmy's disposal up there at the North Pole at that point.
Okay.
There have been years where Jimmy was a bigger highlight than Santa.
Really?
Yeah, not because of the gift itself, but just because of the excitement.
He has his own time period.
To have your own elf.
How'd you broker that deal?
I know people.
I know people?
I know people. I got things done.
Okay.
I mean, I host a podcast.
That's true.
I actually host 4 podcasts.
Presidents conversing on television right now.
President Obama and President Clinton. Michelle Obama and almost President Clinton.
Yeah. Probably got to be pretty important to get like the second row seat right there, don't you?
Yeah, I would think you got to be somewhat of a big
There's got to
shot.
be some Secret Service mixed in there somewhere, too.
Joe Schmo from Muncie, Indiana is not there.
Was it used to be what, Joe the Plumber or whatever it was?
Yeah.
He's not sitting second row?
Probably not. Probably not even.
I wouldn't
on the
make
fifth
any
row.
sudden movements toward the first row either. Someone would tackle you.
No, there's a decent chance those guys in the suits that are watching intently, they're a little jumpy today. This is not calm day for them.
It's not the day to take a shot, just see what happens.
No.
See if you can go get an autograph or something on the first row.
Little jumpy.
Yeah.
Little jumpy. This is probably the day that you don't want to mess with the Secret Service agent.
That guy goes home and pours him one
He pours a stiff one
tonight.
He does. Honey, I'm
Give me a minute.
I'm gonna need a minute. It was a day.
You know where I was for 12 hours. You know what we're doing.
I did not blink for 14 hours. I just need to pour bourbon down my gullet for a minute.
Was the worst thing on the internet this week Slate trying to minimize the stupid dog and his relationship with George H.W. Bush?
I'm glad I didn't see that.
You didn't see it?
No.
They tried to make it clear that it was not a lifelong companion, that he'd only been with Bush for certain segments of time, so that it should not be considered whatever people were trying to consider it.
And what you now know is the people that wrote that don't have a dog.
Well, they were crucified on the internet.
Well, good. I mean, this is a man that was married to his sweetheart for 73 years. I know he was a president. He's also a human being. His wife of 73 years, who he asked to marry him before he went off to war because he wanted to make sure he had dibs, she died. I mean, physically, he was a shell of himself, and I think mentally he was probably a shell of himself, but he knew she was gone. He knew she had died. I'm sure there was mourning and loss, and that dog gave him comfort, gave him purpose, was his friend. I thought the pictures of the dog, Sully, laying in front of the casket were as compelling as anything I've seen.
Yeah.
To that dog, President Bush was his friend, his person. My job. That's my guy. I take care of him.
Oh, I mean, even when he was getting off Air Force One, appeared to be looking for the president.
Of course. He was looking for his person.
Yeah, I'm here.
What are we doing?
Yeah, and they'll go give him someone else, and
he'll be okay.
Be a dog. And
he'll be a dog, and he'll be okay. But, yeah, come on. He did his job for however many months that was. And
highly trained canine.
Yes. But it pisses me off that anybody would try to minimize.
Never trying to minimize the dog.
No, that dog gave President Bush comfort in his dying days.
Yeah.
Can't beat a Labrador Retriever.
This goofy dog.
I wake up every morning to a big, goofy, block-headed Labrador Retriever.
Rizzo.
Yes, with his face right here. Just
Gus doesn't come greet you?
no. I mean, Gus likes me.
Gus does not have the personality of the other one at all.
He's a sweet dog. I think Gus kind of prefers Laura.
Really?
A little bit, maybe. I mean, he likes me a lot, but he likes Laura. But Rizzo comes over to my side, and I hear boom, and paws land on me, often on my face.
And he has very large paws.
Large paws, and he has no control over them. And I get his big, block-headed nose right in my face. Like, get up. Get up.
He wants fed.
His stomach alarm's gone off.
Yeah.
I mean, it's time to get up. Typically, it's about 5:03.
Really?
Yeah.
He can't chill till 6:30 or 7? What if you push him away?
Well, I mean, I have occasionally pushed him away and said, go back to bed. And he typically will.
He'll grumble and
Yeah. You can tell I've hurt his feelings.
yeah.
What I typically do on a weekend that I want to sleep in is I'll get up and I'm like, okay, you go out, let them go out, and I'll get their food, I feed them.
And then you go back to bed.
Let them, yeah, and then I either leave them out or I let them come back in and they get on their beds and they'll sleep.
Okay.
But I get that every morning. And the truth is, if you took it away from me, I'd miss it.
Carly Ann has gotten into identifying everything, and she keeps trying to figure out whose dog is whose. So it's looking at Gumbo and going, that's Daddy's dog, or Zoe's whatever, or that's my dog. Or she's not letting you touch any objects that are someone else's. Like, she was doing something with Kara's phone yesterday, and I tried to grab it. She's like, no, Mommy's phone, and she wouldn't let me have it to fix it. It was, no, I can't touch that. So everything is possessive right now with our child in our house, where I think she's going to be putting color-coded stickers on things or something soon.
What does she do when one of the dogs takes someone's things?
The dogs have gotten better about many of those things. She, however, will do the same thing. She will grab bones and take them to the individual dogs to show that they are their bones, their items. That's Gumbo's bone. That's Gumbo's antler. That's whatever it is. So
that's good.
Yeah, and she's wanting to carry them around and hold them, and they do not like to be carried around or held, and it's a bit of a struggle right now.
Yeah.
Where she was brushing him the other day, and his face is going, "Please God, help me! Please get me away from this! Please stop!"
She needs a Labrador Retriever.
She does not need a Labrador Retriever.
Labrador Retriever will take all of that abuse.
My mother sent me a message the other day, and she goes, "How mad would you be if we got her a bunny for Christmas?" And I said, "Incredibly mad."
There are not words.
Yes,
How mad would you be if that bunny was dead within 10 minutes?
Yeah. We might have an accident. I'm just telling you.
Yeah. Whoops.
I've already got a fish that I'm the only one that feeds every day.
Well,
the fish is very low maintenance, except when he's not. Like when you have to change the water, and just remembering a fish is somewhat difficult sometimes.
Well, I had a conversation when we got Rizzo. I said, I'm not going to be the only person that walks both of those dogs.
That's cute. That's funny.
Yeah, and yesterday, as I once again was the only person that walked both of those dogs, I sent the text that said, I am no longer going to be the person that the only person that walks the dogs. And I think that was met just by a cacophony of laughter. They thought, yeah, you're the sucker.
You knew that was coming before you started, really, though.
It's just hard to control that much dog.
You walk them both at the same time?
Yeah.
Do they stay together?
Yeah, pretty much. See,
they appear to kind of like each other.
Yeah, they like each other. When I had Miller and Wrigley, I would take Miller to go catch a Frisbee and wear his ass out. And then when he was done, while he recovered, I would take Wrigley for the walk. And that was fine.
Wrigley wouldn't catch a Frisbee?
No, hell no.
I mean, a lot of Gus in him.
He would catch a Frisbee if it was shaped like a bone and tasted like chicken.
Yeah.
Once he figured out he couldn't eat the Frisbee, no, he's done. He'd chase it one time. Once he figured out that's not edible, it's pointless.
Yeah, Rizzo just looks better. He's just a better-looking dog.
Good-looking dog. Not particularly bright.
Not smart.
Not at all. But a good-looking fellow.
He is a good-looking fellow.
Good-looking.
He would have been the guy that probably peaked in high school, but it'd been
probably.
All right.
Yeah.
You know?
All the girls at the vet, they like them some Rizzo.
Do they?
He gets
a few extra.
Gets a little extra pat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a. Yeah. He's blockheaded's a good way to put it. It's
put together well.
Yeah. Put your Christmas decorations together well this holiday season with Mastercut's Lawn and Landscape. Everything from lighting and garland to inflatable characters. Whatever your vision may be. And remember, as I've been telling you, the big thing is whatever you pay for, you'll own it because they'll take care of them the rest of the year. They'll put them back out the next year for you, or you can store them yourself. That decision is yours. So start that tradition with your family right now. Give them a call. Get 4 free quote, 662-607-7773.
Podcast also brought to you by Harry Alexander. Harry is an Oxford-based RE/MAX legacy realty agent. He's been in Oxford more than 4 decades. No one knows the residential and condo market in Oxford better than Harry. Go to his site. He'll prove it to you. HarryAlexander.com. Click on the Properties and Neighborhoods tab. Filter through by what you are looking for. And then know that the results that you get are updated daily. It's HarryAlexander.com. Send him an email, ha@HarryAlexander.com. Podcast also brought to you by Oxford University Bank. OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community This week, OUB is running a 35-month CD special at 3.39% annual percentage yield. You need to call 662-234-6668. Speak to a customer service rep for full product details. OUB also has a commercial checking account that is now paying 1% interest as long as you keep $10,000 in the account. It comes with fully interactive online banking. OUB will set you up where your business can deposit checks from your office and not have to worry about coming to the bank to deposit those checks. More than likely, any business owner listening to this who's using another bank is now paying a monthly fee, and you're not getting 1% on your money. To learn more, go to liveoxfordbankoxford.com or call 662-234-6668. Megan Phillips with LAH Real Estate is the person to call for all your real estate needs in the Birmingham area. With almost a decade of experience, Megan's knowledge and expertise can help you buy or sell your home today. Visit our website, meganmphillips.com. That's MEAGANM Phillips.com. Or call Megan at 205-602-7929. Again, 205-602-7929. And another reminder, registration for spring soccer season and the Oxford Park Commission has begun. If your son or daughter played in the fall, the cost is $35 to rejoin his or her current team. Those that did not play in the fall, they want to play in the spring, you can do that. $55 to play in the spring. Join a team ages 4 to 15. For more information, visit oxfordparkcommission.com.
I was just reading your mailbag a second ago.
And?
You took a golf question and then didn't really answer it.
I did answer it.
No, you didn't. You without paragraphs or any.
I rolled my eyes.
But okay,
I don't know the answer to that. Why would he ask me a golf question?
Oh, that was the full question. All that stuff.
Yes.
Oh, that's how he sent the question to you.
Yes.
Well, you didn't have to do it like that. It looks ugly on the content item. It's like just a bunch of jumbled words. Look at that. It's one full block of text.
It is if you do it on that. It's not if you look at it on a desktop.
Well, more than 50% of our people look at it on mobile phones these days. Why are you so focused on what a desktop looks like?
Because maybe I'm concerned about the other 50%. I don't know. I didn't think about it. That actually, that particular part of our admin is not, it probably needs to be tweaked. It's one of those things I actually need to send to like Labkey.
What are you talking about?
Because when you put that in,
well, I don't think the subheads are supposed to be 7,000 words long too.
Well, they're not. But my point is if you use something big like that, it's not as editable.
Yeah, that is correct. Yes,
right.
It doesn't hyperlink and it doesn't do a lot of things.
So it can create issues.
That's fair. Okay. I actually do think Hannibal Lecter is one of the more scary movie characters. I think you probably got that right.
Hell yeah, he's scary.
He does kind of freak you out a little bit.
Pretty much tells you he's going to eat you. And then tells
he's only in like 4 scenes in that movie. Like his actual screen time is incredibly limited.
Yeah.
Like down to whatever.
Yeah.
I watched some recap about that or something. Let's do a podcast about it one day. And they were talking about how he was hardly ever really actually on the screen.
Speaking of Slate and podcast, God, this podcast is off the rails. I apologize. Most of this is my fault. Have you started the podcast about Randy Weaver and the deal out in?
I have not started
Idaho?
it. I actually saw it pop up in my feed this morning when I was deleting some other podcast. I have not started it yet. It's good.
So far, it's really interesting.
It's worth my time.
Yeah, it's really. I'm 2 episodes in.
Should I even start the final season of House of Cards?
No, it's awful.
Don't even try. I mean, he was that show. That was Kevin Spacey's show.
Yeah, it's awful. I'm struggling with it, and I used to binge it. I'd watch 8 episodes.
I can't do that.
Day,
No,
and it's awful. Donald and Melania Trump just got there.
they did.
Hillary Clinton's body language could not have changed more.
She did stiffen up, doesn't she?
Wow.
Because she was quite playful before that with Barack and Michelle and Bill and hanging out on the row. And now they're as far away from one another as they can be. Trump is on one corner, and Hillary is on Bill's opposite side, all the way on the other side.
Yeah, it's Donald, Melania, Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, Bill Clinton, and then Hillary.
So maybe it's just male, female, male, female, male, female. But
they've done it where there is distance there.
Is Jimmy Carter in attendance?
Yes.
He is.
He and Rosalind Carter are there on the other side of the Clintons.
Okay, I did not see them in that photo, but
Because a little while ago, Bill and Hillary were admiring something on the ceiling and having a...
On the ceiling?
What appeared to be they were having a conversation about the architecture of the National Cathedral.
All right.
And it was obvious that Jimmy Carter sitting next to them and Dick Cheney sitting right behind them.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Were both attempting to figure out what the hell it is they were looking at. It was really kind of funny.
They could have just asked.
Yeah, well, you could tell that Jimmy Carter almost asked, like, what are you looking at? And then he caught himself and thought, no, I'll just leave them alone.
How old is Jimmy?
He's in his 90s.
Is he?
Yeah. Looks pretty good for in his 90s.
He does.
His presidency was a bit of a disaster. His post-presidency has been a study of class and dignity.
Yeah, he's one that has absolutely increased his legacy post-presidency.
Absolutely.
With some of the things he was able to do from missions all the way down. I mean, was a huge help to Clinton with a lot of diplomacy efforts during the 90s.
There's a movie coming out about Dick Cheney that has gotten some critical acclaim.
I saw the trailer or whatever of this.
We're just pissing people off right now. We're not trying
come on. I have nothing to talk about. A dude's got an offer. He hasn't taken the offer. What are you going to say?
As of 9:52, I don't know what he's doing, and it is the only story, and we're following it. And I'm as frustrated with it as you are because I want it to end. But it's not.
He's 94 years old.
94. It's 9:52, and I have no idea what Pete Golding's going to do.
It's whatever. Where your
and
children.
I don't know what the deadline is, or if there is a firm deadline.
What time was that infomercial or the commercial? It is whatever. What do you know where your kids are or whatever?
Oh yeah, what was
the
that?
Public service announcement? What time was it? Was it 9 p.m.? Was it 9:30? Was it 10? What was it?
I don't. Maybe 9 p.m. sounds right, but I don't know.
You're not sure?
Uh-uh.
That's your era, isn't it?
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah. Do you know where your children are? Your kids are? What was it? Yeah, do you know where your children are was the way that it went. Parents on American television from the late 60s to the late 80s was what it was. It says the question, do you know where your children are, preceded by an announcement of the current time, is typically asked around 10 p.m. or 11 p.m., depending on the market and the time of the local youth curfew, usually immediately preceding the station's late evening newscast.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
I do remember when TV would sign off with the national anthem.
Yeah. There were a couple channels where I have a vague recollection of that when I was very young.
All we had was, at first, ABC, NBC, CBS, PBS. I think that was it.
Is that it?
And then we added, when we went to cable.
Speaking of the president, when he was on, you're just done for the night. It's on every channel.
That's it. Night.
You've got the president.
State of the Union. Go to bed.
Yeah.
Joe Biden's fighting sleep hard.
You think so?
A minute ago, he was fighting sleep. No question.
Who's the lady right behind Barack and Michelle?
I was trying to figure out who that is, and I don't know.
She looks very contemplative right now.
Thinking about a lot.
Yeah. Bill's put his spectacles on now.
He has.
Navy suit, navy tie for Bill today.
Lynn Cheney has aged fairly well.
Yeah.
Jill Biden looks good.
She does.
It's Al Gore next to Jill. Al Gore gets he got a decent seat.
Was the vice president of the United States.
He's not married now, I don't guess. Does not appear to have a guest with him.
Yeah.
He and Tipper are no more.
Okay. That's the show for today, ladies and gentlemen. We've taught you a lot. We've done a lot for you today. So glad you have you checking in. We do a lot of these. Some are good, some are bad, some are like today.
This one's not our fault.
No, nothing I can do.
Yeah,
so.
This one is not our fault. It's
and I told Neil, I said it would have been against your intelligence to not discuss it and just try to make a show of something else and try to get through it. So here we are.
Before we go, here's a little Ole Miss information for you. Rebel fans, conference play starts next month for your Ole Miss men's basketball team. SEC single game tickets now on sale for just $20. Games include Auburn, Mississippi State, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Go to OleMissTix.com. The Ole Miss women's team back in action on Saturday. They host Savannah State. Tickets can be purchased by visiting OleMissTix.com. And for Jackson area Rebels, Coach Kermit Davis and the Ole Miss men's basketball team are coming to see you 1 week from tonight. They'll be in the Mississippi Coliseum to play the Lions of Southeastern Louisiana Wednesday, December 12th. Tickets start at just $5. Purchase your tickets today at OleMissTix.com.
We'll be in Jackson the night before for that. Come hang out with us. Our live show from 6 to 7. It will start with one Kermit Davis speaking of. So we'll see you then. We'll talk to you tomorrow and check rebelgrove.com for all breaking news. In the meantime, hopefully we have some for you today. Talk then.